Mafia boss gets a desperate call. A child's whisper in the dark pulls him into a deadly game far from his world of power. One choice will shatter all the rules, pitting him against enemies seen and unseen. If you're new here, subscribe and comment your location. Now let's begin. The phone rang, not the business phone, not the phone for family. The other one. The one buried in the bottom drawer of Don Vincenzo's nightstand. The one only 3 living people had the number for. It was 1:07 a.m. Vincenzo's eyes opened. They were dark, calm, like deep water. He sat up. The silk sheets whispered. His wife, Alina, slept soundly beside him. He looked at the caller ID. It said unknown. His hand, thick and scarred, reached for it. He answered. He did not speak. A tiny, choked sound came from the other end. Then a whisper, so full of terror it was almost air. "Hello, is this 911? Vincenzo frowned. A wrong number on this line. It was impossible. He was about to hang up. Then he heard it. In the background, a heavy thud, the sound of wood straining. Someone was breaking down a door. The little voice came back, shaking. Please, you have to help. The bad men are outside. They're trying to get in. Please save my mom." Vincenzo was a hard man. He had done terrible things, but this was a child, a real child, not a tactic. He could hear the snot and tears in her whisper. He pressed the phone closer. "What is your address?" His voice was a low rumble, unused to kindness. The girl, surprised to hear a deep man's voice, stammered. "A apartment 4B 273 Elmwood Drive. Please hurry." Another huge bang from her end of the phone. The girl gasped and dropped the phone. Vincenzo heard the clatter, then running feet, a woman's muffled cry of Mia. "Get in the closet, now!" Then the line went dead. Elmwood Drive, a rundown part of the city, not his territory, not his problem. He should go back to sleep. He put the phone down. He looked at Alina's peaceful face. He thought of the tiny, terrified voice. "Please save my mom." "Damn it," he whispered to the dark room. He picked up his business phone. He called Paul. Paul was his right-hand man, his consigliere. The phone rang once. "Don Vincenzo." Paul's voice was alert, no sign of sleep. "There is a problem. Apartment 4B 273 Elmwood Drive. A woman and a little girl named Mia are in danger. Men are breaking in. Send a crew, a fast, quiet crew. Go now, see what is happening, do not be seen. Call me the second you know." Paul was silent for a beat. This was not their work. This was not smart. "Don Vincenzo, with respect, this could be a trap. The rivals, they know you have a—" "They do not know this phone number, Paul," Vincenzo snapped. "Send the crew, now." "Yes, sir." Vincenzo got out of bed. He put on a black robe and walked to his study. He poured a small glass of whiskey but did not drink it. He just stared at the dark liquid. He waited. He thought about the sound of that door breaking. 15 minutes later, his phone buzzed. It was a text from Paul, crew on site. "Police are here. 1 squad car, no lights, no sirens." Police? Vincenzo's eyes narrowed. Why would police break down a door at 1 a.m. without lights or sirens? That was not procedure. That was something else. His phone rang. It was Paul whispering. "Boss, it's strange. It's just one cop. A detective, big guy. He broke the door down. He's alone inside with the woman. The little girl is hiding, I think. We can hear him yelling." "What is he yelling?" "He's asking for a file. He's saying, 'Give me the drive, Jennifer, or this gets worse.' The woman, Jennifer, she is crying. She says she doesn't have it." Jennifer, Mia's mother, a cop terrorizing her. A file, a drive. This was not a random break-in. This was a hunt. "Get them out, Paul," Vincenzo said, his voice cold and decided. "Get the woman and the girl. Neutralize the detective. Do not let him see your faces. Bring them to the safe house on the waterfront. Now." "Boss, kidnapping a cop." "He is not acting as a cop tonight. He is a rat. Do it." There was a short, sharp sound from Paul's end, a muffled grunt, the sound of a struggle ending quickly. Then Paul came back on, breathless. "Done, we have them. The woman is hurt. The girl is scared but okay. The detective is sleeping. We left him there." Good, go to the safe house. I am on my way. Vincenzo dressed quickly in dark, simple clothes. He kissed Alina's forehead. She murmured but did not wake. He drove himself across the city, his mind working. A corrupt detective, a journalist named Jennifer, a file. This was about information, and information was power. The safe house was an old warehouse by the docks. It looked abandoned, but inside it was clean and secure. When Vincenzo entered, he saw the scene. A woman, Jennifer, sat on a cot. She had a cut on her forehead. Her clothes were messy. She had the fierce, tired eyes of a fighter. She held her daughter, Mia, a little girl of about 6 with big, shocked eyes, tightly in her lap. 2 of Vincenzo's men, David and James, stood quietly by the door. Paul stood near them. Mia looked up as Vincenzo walked in. She pointed a small finger at him. Her voice was a tiny, amazed squeak. "Mommy, that's the voice. That's the man from the phone." Jennifer's eyes locked onto Vincenzo. Fear turned to confusion. She knew who he was. Everyone in the city knew the face of Don Vincenzo, even if they had never seen him in person. "You," she breathed. "You sent these men. Why? What do you want?" Vincenzo ignored her for a moment. He looked at David. "Get the girl some warm milk. Find a blanket." He then pulled a chair and sat facing Jennifer a few feet away. He leaned forward, his elbows on his knees. "Your daughter called my private phone by mistake," he said, his voice quiet but firm. "She meant to call 911. She asked me to save her mom, so I did." Jennifer stared at him. She hugged Mia tighter. "That detective, he said he'd kill us. He said he'd make it look like a burglary. He wanted my external hard drive, all my research." "What research?" Vincenzo asked. Jennifer hesitated. She looked at the gangster in front of her. She was a journalist who exposed corruption, and he was the biggest criminal in the city, but he had also just saved her life. She had no one else to trust. "For the past 8 months," she said slowly, "I've been investigating the Eastern Brotherhood." Vincenzo went very still. The Eastern Brotherhood was the rival family moving in on his territory. They were violent, messy, and ambitious. "I found bank records," Jennifer continued, her voice gaining strength. "Payments from shell companies linked to the Brotherhood to several city officials, and to cops. Lots of cops. That detective, Mark Rizzo, was on the list. He was being paid to look the other way, to lose evidence, to harass witnesses. My story was going to print in 3 days. They must have found out." Vincenzo leaned back. A slow smile spread across his face. It was not a nice smile. It was the smile of a man who had just been handed a golden key. "This hard drive," he said. "Where is it?" "It's safe. It's not in my apartment. I'm not stupid." "You need to give it to me," Vincenzo said. Jennifer shook her head fiercely. "No way. That's my life's work. It's the only thing protecting us. If I give it to you, you'll just kill us and use it for your own war." Vincenzo looked at Mia, who was sipping milk from a mug David had given her, her wide eyes watching the scary, nice man. He looked back at Jennifer. "If I wanted you dead, Mrs. Jennifer, you would already be dead. Detective Rizzo would have done the job for me. You are not a player to me. You are a gift. That hard drive does not protect you. It is a target on your back. In my hands, it becomes a weapon. I can use it to destroy the Eastern Brotherhood and the corrupt cops who work for them. When they are gone, you and your daughter are no longer interesting to anyone. You can be safe." "And why would you do that? For us?" Jennifer asked, her voice full of doubt. Vincenzo glanced at Mia again. "Your daughter asked me for help. I answered. That is all you need to know. But understand this. The man who tried to kill you tonight will wake up. He will know you are gone. He will come looking. Your only chance is with me." Jennifer looked down at her daughter's trusting face, pressed against her chest. She was trapped. The devil she knew was offering a deal, and the devil she didn't know was a corrupt detective with a gun. "Okay," she whispered, defeated. "The hard drive is in a locker at the central bus station. Locker 417. The key is on my keychain in my purse." Paul held up her purse. He found the key. Vincenzo stood up. "Paul, go get it. Be careful. David, James, you stay here. Guard them with your lives." He looked at Jennifer. "You will stay here. You will be safe. When this is over, you and your daughter will have a new life, a quiet one." He turned to leave. Jennifer's voice stopped him. "Don Vincenzo." He paused. "Thank you," she said, the words heavy and real. He gave a small, stiff nod and walked out into the night. Paul returned 2 hours later with a small, black external hard drive. Vincenzo plugged it into a secure, offline laptop in his office at his legitimate business, a wine import company. He scrolled through the files. It was all there. Bank statements, encrypted chat logs, photos, everything. Jennifer was good. This was a bomb. He called Paul in. "Rizzo, the detective, where is he now?" Our men watched the apartment. An ambulance came, then more cops. He told them it was a botched robbery, that he was responding to a call and got jumped. "He's at St. Mercy's Hospital. Minor concussion." "Good," Vincenzo said. "He will be scared. He failed. The Brotherhood will be angry with him. A scared rat is a stupid rat. We will use him." "How, boss?" Vincenzo smiled. "We will offer him a way out, a better deal." The next morning, Detective Mark Rizzo was sitting up in his hospital bed, nursing a headache, when a well-dressed man walked in. It was Paul. He pulled up a chair. "What the hell? Who are you?" Rizzo asked, his hand drifting toward the call button. Paul put a single photo on the bed tray. It was a screenshot from a security camera. It showed Rizzo taking a thick envelope from a known Brotherhood lieutenant outside a nightclub. "Don Vincenzo sends his regards. He would like to talk about your future." Rizzo's face went pale. "I have nothing to say to him." "You do," Paul said calmly, "because the woman you tried to kill last night is under his protection, and she gave him everything. Every payment, every text, every photo. You are finished, detective. The Brotherhood will kill you to tie up loose ends. The department will jail you. Or," Paul leaned forward, "you can work for us, just for a little while." Rizzo was sweating. "What do you want?" "We want you to set up a meeting. Tell your Brotherhood contact you found the journalist, you have her hidden, and you will trade her for a big payday and safe passage out of the city. Set the meeting for the old fish packing plant on the West Pier. Tonight at 11 p.m. "They'll never believe me." Paul placed another photo. It was Jennifer's press ID next to today's newspaper. "They will. We will make it look real. You do this, and when the Brotherhood arrives, we will handle it. After, you will have a one-way ticket to anywhere and a new identity. A chance to live. Say no, and we leak the files to the press and the police commissioner, and to the Brotherhood boss, explaining how you helped us." It was no choice at all. Rizzo, his hands shaking, nodded. Okay, I'll do it." The warehouse was dark and smelled of salt and rust. Vincenzo's men were positioned in the shadows, silent and armed. Vincenzo himself watched from a hidden office high above the main floor. Jennifer and Mia were miles away, under guard at another location. Paul stood beside him. Down below, Detective Rizzo paced, looking nervous. Right on time, headlights cut through the fog outside. 3 cars pulled in. Men got out. Vincenzo recognized the leader, Leo the Knife Costa, a brutal captain from the Eastern Brotherhood. Rizzo walked forward, his hands up. "Leo, I've got her in the back room. Where's my money?" Leo smirked. He gestured. One of his men brought forward a duffel bag. "First, we see the woman." This was the moment. Rizzo was supposed to lead them to a back room. Then Vincenzo's men would move in. But Rizzo panicked. He saw the cold look in Leo's eyes. He knew he was dead either way. He suddenly pointed wildly towards the office where Vincenzo was hiding. "It's a trap! Vincenzo is up there. He has the files. He made me do it." Guns came up. Shots rang out. Chaos exploded. Vincenzo ducked as bullets punched through the glass window of the office. Paul pulled him down. "The idiot sold us out!" Paul yelled over the gunfire. "Plan B," Vincenzo shouted back. He grabbed a rifle from the wall. The gunfight was loud and terrible in the closed space. Vincenzo's men had the advantage of position. Leo's men were caught in the open. One by one, they fell, but Leo was smart. He and 2 of his men ran for the cover of some old machinery, firing back. Vincenzo moved. He left the office and took the metal stairs down, 2 at a time. He was not a young man, but he moved with a deadly purpose. He saw Leo trying to flank his men. He stepped into the open. "Costa," he roared. Leo turned. Their eyes met. They raised their guns at the same time. A shot echoed. Leo Costa stumbled back, a dark red stain spreading on his chest. He fell, his eyes wide and empty. Vincenzo lowered his gun. The last of the shooting stopped. The silence that followed was heavy with smoke and the smell of gunpowder. Paul ran to his side. "Boss, you're hit." Vincenzo looked down. A bullet had grazed his arm. It was bleeding. But it was nothing. "I'm fine, find Rizzo." They found the detective hiding behind a barrel, crying. Vincenzo looked at him with disgust. He nodded to David. David dragged Rizzo away. He would not get his ticket to anywhere. The next day, the city was in shock. The headlines screamed, "Major police corruption uncovered." Eastern Brotherhood shattered in Doc Shotout. Anonymous files had been sent to the press and the mayor's office. Detective Mark Rizzo was found in his car, an apparent suicide, with a typed confession. The Eastern Brotherhood was leaderless and crumbling, with police arresting key members based on the evidence. In the clean, sunlit safe house, Vincenzo stood before Jennifer and Mia. Jennifer's cut was healing. Mia was coloring on the floor. "It is done," Vincenzo said. "The men who wanted you dead are gone. The files are public. You are a hero journalist who was protected by a confidential source." Jennifer stood up. "And you, what happens to you?" "Business will be quieter for a while, that is good." He looked uncomfortable for a moment. He reached into his coat and pulled out an envelope. He handed it to her. 2 first-class tickets to California, new identities, a bank account with enough money to start over. A small house near the ocean is already in your new name. My men will take you to the airport tonight. Jennifer took the envelope, her eyes filled with tears. "I don't know what to say." "Say nothing. Live a good life, keep your daughter safe." Mia ran over then. She hugged Vincenzo's leg. He stiffened, then slowly, carefully, he put a big hand on her head. "Thank you, mister," Mia said. Vincenzo's hard face did something strange. It almost softened. He gave a small nod. Then he turned and walked out the door. Paul drove him back to his mansion. "A costly operation, boss, for a stranger," Paul said carefully. Vincenzo stared out the window at the passing city. "It was not costly, Paul. We removed our biggest rivals. We exposed the corrupt cops who were in their pocket. We now have the mayor in our debt for cleaning up the city. And he paused, thinking of a little girl's voice in the dark. "I answered a call, that is all." That night, as Alina slept beside him, Vincenzo lay awake. His private phone sat silent in the drawer. He thought of a little girl named Mia who would wake up tomorrow by the sea, safe. For a man like him, that was a strange kind of victory. It was enough. He closed his eyes, and for the first time in a long time, he slept peacefully. 6 months later, the city was different, quieter. The Eastern Brotherhood was a memory, its remnants scattered or in jail. The police department had been purged, a dozen officers fired or arrested. The headlines had moved on. Don Vincenzo's business, both the wine importing and the other, quieter kind, ran smoother than ever. No one challenged him. The mayor was appreciative. But in a small, sun-drenched house in Santa Monica, California, a mother and daughter were still adjusting. Jennifer, now going by Jessica, watched the Pacific Ocean from her kitchen window. Mia was at a new school making friends. The fear was fading, replaced by the ordinary rhythms of a new life. Yet Jennifer often found herself staring at the business card she'd stolen. It was plain, black, with only a phone number embossed in silver. Vincenzo's number. She had taken it from his desk the day they left the safe house. A stupid, dangerous souvenir. A connection to a world she never wanted to see again. One Tuesday, Mia came home from school quiet. "Mommy, there was a man," she said, putting her backpack down. "At the park near school, he was taking pictures of me." Jennifer's blood turned to ice. "What did he look like, baby?" "He had a big jacket and a hat. He smiled, but it was a scary smile." Jennifer tried to stay calm. It could be nothing, a paranoid thought. But her journalist instincts, her survivor's instincts, screamed. She called the local police. They were polite. They took a report. They said they'd patrol the area. They said it was probably nothing. But that night, a car with no license plates parked down the street. It sat there for an hour, then left. Jennifer paced her living room, the black business card burning a hole in her pocket. She couldn't call him. She wouldn't. He'd given them this life. To call was to drag his darkness into their new sun. But the fear was a cold snake in her stomach. She lasted 3 days. 3 days of seeing shadows, of jumping at every noise. On the 4th day, a flower delivery van parked outside her house. No one delivered flowers. The driver, a man with a thick neck and sunglasses, just sat and looked at the house. Then he drove away. That was it. Her hands shaking, she took out the card and her cheap, untraceable phone. She dialed the number. It rang once, twice. Yes, the voice was the same, a low rumble, impatient. It's Jennifer. Her voice cracked. There was a long pause. She could almost hear his surprise, his calculation. You are safe. I think we're being watched. Mia saw a man. There's a car, a van. I called the police here, but they do. Where are you? He interrupted, his voice all business now. She gave him the address in Santa Monica. Do not leave the house. Do not answer the door for anyone but me. I will call this number back in 10 minutes with instructions. The line went dead. Jennifer sat on the floor, hugging her knees. What had she done? In his office in the city, Vincenzo put the phone down. His face was a stone. Paul was with him, going over shipping manifests. Paul, Vincenzo said, drop everything. The woman and the girl, they have a problem. Paul's eyes widened. But boss, they're clean. We scrubbed them, new identities, everything. Someone found them, or someone was looking who never stopped. Vincenzo's mind raced. The Eastern Brotherhood was gone. The corrupt cops were gone. Who was left? Then it hit him. Family, not his, theirs. The Brotherhood was a family business. You cut off the head, but the roots run deep. A brother, a son, someone seeking revenge not on him, but on the person who caused the fall, the journalist. Get me everything on Leo Costa's family, Vincenzo ordered. Brothers, sons, cousins, now. While Paul worked, Vincenzo called Jennifer back. Listen carefully. I am sending 2 men. Their names are Daniel and James. You met James at the safe house. They will be there in 6 hours. They will take you to a hotel. You will go with them. Do you understand? Yes, Jennifer whispered. Good. Pack 1 bag for you and the girl. Nothing sentimental. Now put Mia on the phone. What? Why? Put her on the phone, Jennifer. Jennifer, confused, handed the phone to Mia. Sweetie, the man who helped us, he wants to talk to you. Mia took the phone. Hello. Vincenzo's voice changed. It was still deep but softer. Mia, this is Mr. V. Your mother told me about the scary man at the park. You were very brave to tell her. Now I need you to be brave again. My friends Daniel and James are coming to take you on a little trip. They are big, but they are nice. They work for me. You must do exactly what they say and what your mother says. Can you do that? Yes, Mr. V, Mia said solemnly. Good girl. Give the phone back to your mother. Jennifer took the phone. Thank you, she said, her voice thick. Do not thank me yet, Vincenzo said and hung up. Paul came back with a file. Leo Costa has a younger brother, Silvio Costa. Not in the business, we thought. A small-time lawyer in Phoenix. But the word is he idolized his big brother. He's been quiet since Leo died, but he took a sudden vacation 2 days ago. Destination unknown. Find him, Vincenzo said, his voice cold. And get my plane ready. I am going to California. Boss, you can't. It's too risky. Let Daniel and James handle it. Bring them back here. Vincenzo stood up. He looked out at his city, the city he controlled. She called me, Paul. She used the lifeline I gave her. This is my responsibility. Get the plane. Daniel and James arrived exactly on time. They were professional and calm. They moved Jennifer and Mia quickly to a bland, mid-level hotel near the airport. They took separate cars, checking for tails. They secured a room on the 4th floor with 2 exits. Jennifer felt a little safer, but the fear was still there. Mia, however, was fascinated by Daniel and James. James, the quieter one, showed her how to play a card game. Daniel stood by the window, watching the street. 4 hours later, there was a knock on the door. A specific pattern: 2 knocks, a pause, 3 knocks. Daniel looked through the peephole and immediately opened the door. Don Vincenzo walked in. He looked different. He wore a simple gray sweater and slacks, no suit. He looked like a tired businessman, but his eyes were the same, sharp, missing nothing. He carried a small duffel bag. Jennifer stood up. She was shocked to see him here in person. "You came." "I said I would," he replied. He looked at Mia, who was peeking from behind the couch. "Hello, Mia." "Hi, Mr. V," she said with a small wave. Vincenzo put the duffel bag on the table. "We have a problem. The man who is looking for you is named Silvio Costa. He is the brother of Leo Costa, the man who will not be a problem anymore. He is a lawyer. He is not a professional, but he is angry and he is smart and he has money from his brother's accounts. He hired a private investigator to find you. That was the man in the park. The Pi found you, and now he has told Silvio." Jennifer sank onto the couch. "So he's coming here to kill us, for revenge." "Yes," Vincenzo said simply, "but he is not here yet. The Pi lost you when you left your house. But Silvio knows you are in this city. He will come himself. He wants to do it personally." "What do we do?" Jennifer asked, her voice desperate. "We wait," Vincenzo said, "and we let him come to us. Use us as bait. Are you insane, with my daughter here?" Vincenzo turned to her, his gaze steady. "Jennifer, you are already the bait. He is already coming. The only choice is where and when the meeting happens. I choose here, where I am, where my men are. We control the room. We control the time. It ends tonight." He opened the duffel bag. Inside were a few simple things: a small, accurate pistol, a box of bullets, a first aid kit, and a small, wrapped gift. He took out the gift and handed it to Mia. It was a stuffed bear wearing a small leather jacket. Mia's eyes went wide. She took it and hugged it. "Thank you, Mr. V." Vincenzo gave another small, stiff nod. He then turned to Daniel and James. "You know the plan, positions." The hotel room became a fortress. Daniel took the hallway. James took the fire escape. Vincenzo stayed in the room with Jennifer and Mia. He moved the furniture to create cover. He checked the pistol. He was calm, like a man preparing for a business meeting. Night fell. The city lights glittered outside. Jennifer put Mia to bed in the inner bedroom, telling her it was a camping adventure. Mia clutched her new bear and eventually fell asleep. Jennifer came back into the main room. Vincenzo was standing by the window, looking out at the parking lot. He didn't turn around. "Why are you doing this?" she asked quietly. "Really? You saved us once. You owed us nothing. You could have just sent your men. Why are you here risking everything?" Vincenzo was silent for a long time. "My father was a hard man," he said finally, his back still to her. "The world was hard. He taught me that to be soft was to die. I believed him. I built a life on that belief. And then at 1 a.m. a little girl's voice asked me for help. It was a crack in the wall, a small piece of softness, and I found I did not die. In fact, it solved many of my problems." He finally turned to look at her. "But that is not the reason. The reason is, if I let anything happen to that child now, after she put her trust in me, then the man my father made would have won, and I do not want him to win anymore." Jennifer looked at him, really looked. She saw not just the powerful Don, but a tired man carrying the weight of a violent life. She saw something lonely. Before she could speak, Vincenzo's phone buzzed. A text from Daniel in the hallway, elevator ping, 4th floor, one man, matches the photo of Silvio. "He's here," Vincenzo said, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Get in the bedroom, lock the door. Do not come out no matter what you hear." Jennifer ran into the bedroom, locking the door behind her. She crouched by Mia's sleeping form, her heart pounding in her ears. In the main room, Vincenzo turned off the lights. He stood in the shadows, away from the door. They heard the quiet footsteps in the hallway, then a stop, a scratch at the door lock. Silvio Costa had a keycard, probably bribed a hotel clerk. The door lock clicked green. The door handle turned. The door opened slowly. A thin man in a dark coat stepped in. Silvio Costa. He had a nervous, twitchy energy. In his hand was a small, ugly pistol. He took 2 steps into the dark room. "Jennifer," he whispered, his voice high with tension. Vincenzo moved. He was a big man, but he moved silently. He stepped out of the shadows and slammed the door shut behind Silvio. Silvio spun around, his gun coming up. "Who are you? Where is she?" "I am the man who killed your brother," Vincenzo said calmly. "And you are in the wrong place." Silvio's face twisted in hate and fear. He didn't hesitate. He fired his gun. The sound was huge in the small room. The shot was wild, sparked off the door frame. Vincenzo didn't flinch. He was already moving. He crossed the room fast, his hand chopping down on Silvio's wrist. There was a crack. Silvio screamed and the gun clattered to the floor. It wasn't a fight. It was an ending. Vincenzo grabbed Silvio by the front of his coat and drove him back against the wall. He pinned him there, one thick forearm across his throat. "You came for a woman and a child," Vincenzo whispered, his face close to Silvio's. "You are a worm. Your brother was a snake. You are less than that." Silvio gasped, his feet kicking. "They ruined everything." "No," Vincenzo said. "You did, with your greed, your stupidity." He increased the pressure. Silvio's eyes bulged. "This ends now. You will not look for them. You will not think of them. You will go back to Phoenix. You will live your small, quiet life. And if you ever speak their names again, I will know. And I will send men who will not be as gentle as me." He let Silvio drop. The man crumpled to the floor, clutching his throat, sucking in ragged breaths. Vincenzo picked up Silvio's gun. He ejected the clip, cleared the chamber, and put the pieces in his pocket. He nodded toward the door. Daniel, who had been waiting just outside, stepped in. He hauled Silvio to his feet. "Take him to the airport," Vincenzo said. "Put him on a plane to Phoenix. Watch him board. Make sure he understands the new rules of his life." Daniel nodded and dragged the coughing, crying man out of the room. The silence rushed back in. It was over. The door to the bedroom opened a crack. Jennifer's pale face appeared. Mia was behind her, clutching the bear, her eyes huge. Is it okay?" Jennifer asked. "It is over," Vincenzo said. He felt tired. The adrenaline was draining away. "He will not bother you again." Jennifer stepped out. She looked at the empty room, the scuff marks on the wall. She walked up to Vincenzo. Without a word, she hugged him. It was a tight, desperate, thankful hug. Vincenzo froze. He did not know what to do. His arms hung at his sides. After a long moment, he slowly, awkwardly patted her back once. She let go, wiping tears from her eyes. "Thank you," she said. "Again." Mia ran over and hugged his leg, just like before. "You scared the bad man away, Mr. V." This time, Vincenzo did more than pat her head. He gently rested his hand on her hair. "Yes, he is gone." He looked at Jennifer. "You cannot go back to that house. He knows the city. The pie might still be around. You need to disappear again. A fresh start." Jennifer nodded. She was ready. "I have a place," Vincenzo said. "A small town in Oregon, green, quiet, far from the ocean, far from big cities. A friend owns a bookstore there. She needs help. You can work. You can live above the shop. Mia can go to a good school." It was all arranged. He had done it in the hours on the plane. Jennifer saw the finality in his eyes. This was the last rescue, the last chapter. "Okay," she whispered. 2 days later, in the misty green hills of Oregon, a car pulled up in front of a cozy bookstore called The Last Chapter. An older woman with kind eyes, a friend of Paul's, welcomed them. The apartment above was small, warm, and full of light. Vincenzo stood with them on the sidewalk. His work was done. The car that brought them, driven by James, waited to take him back to the airport. "This is it," he said to Jennifer. "You are safe here. No one will find you. Live well." Jennifer looked at him, this impossible, violent, gentle man. "Will we ever see you again?" Vincenzo looked at Mia, who was holding her mother's hand and her bear. He knelt down, which was a strange and difficult sight. He was face to face with the little girl. "Mia," he said, his voice very serious, You must be brave for your mother, you must be good, and you must never, ever call that phone number again. Do you understand? Mia nodded solemnly. I understand, Mr. V, but will you be okay? A smile, a real one, tiny and surprising, touched Vincenzo's lips. I will be fine. Goodbye, Mia. He stood up. He gave Jennifer one last, long look, a look that held the memory of a desperate call, of fear in a safe house, of a hug in a dark hotel room. A look that said everything and nothing. Then Don Vincenzo turned, got into the car, and was gone. Back in his city, in his office, life returned to normal. The wine business was good. The other business was quiet. Paul brought him reports. Everything was smooth. One evening, a month later, Vincenzo was in his study. Elena was out at a charity event. The house was silent. He opened the bottom drawer of his desk. He took out the private phone, the one that had rung that night. He looked at it for a long time. Then he did something he had never done before. He removed the battery. He took the SIM card and snapped it in half. He put the pieces of the phone in a small metal box. He carried the box downstairs to the fireplace. He threw it into the flames. He watched it burn until it was nothing but ash. That phone, that line to a different world, was gone. The girl who called it was safe. The debt, if there ever was one, was paid. He poured himself a drink and sat by the fire. He thought of a little girl by the ocean, then in the green hills, living a life he had never known, a life without fear. He had made that possible, not with his power or his money or his fear, but with a single, simple choice to answer a call. For a man like Don Vincenzo, that was the most valuable thing he had ever done. He finished his drink, closed his eyes, and the silence in the room was no longer empty, but peaceful. Thank you for listening. What would you have done if a scared little girl called you in the middle of the night? Let us know in the comments where you're watching from. Subscribe for more stories where one choice changes everything.